Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft Early Access coverage. This is episode 40. I'm Enigmius, and today, the Thunder Guppy Shakedown. That's right, the Thunder Guppy is finally in action. Actually, it didn't take too long. We swapped out all the white blocks for purple ones. The Tier 9 armored chassis blocks. And I actually did 3 or 4 matches before I started recording anything, just so I could get a feel for the bot, and if there was any major deficiencies that I missed in the practice map, to kind of get those out there and kind of see if we could solve them. And what I'm experiencing now is pretty much what I experienced in those 3 or 4 matches, is that this thing is extremely difficult to control. It's very big, it's very heavy, and because it's a hover, it's largely at the mercy of gravity and momentum. It's difficult to steer, for one thing. You have to do a lot of oversteering, you have to do a lot of predictive steering, and you have to kind of read the terrain and kind of guess as to where the terrain is actually going to push you as you're moving around in those turns, because quite often the bot becomes just completely uncontrollable at any speed other than barely moving at all, which is not very good for a bot that's supposed to be a frontline mainstay. So you can see, just trying to get through these tunnels, and can't steer, and then we gotta go this way, and then now we're driving by guardrail, thanks to the bridge for guardrails. And this match just wound up being one of those kind of silly things where we missed all of them and they missed all of us, and they beat us to the base. And that's all it was. I didn't even get a chance to point my guns at anything. I just tried to get caught up with the rest of my damn team. I know what you're thinking. More thrusters. Big and heavy, more thrusters to help with the turns. I don't disagree, but there's one problem with that, and that is you can't put more thrusters on a bot that doesn't have CPU space for more thrusters. It's just, unfortunately, the way that it works. Now, I just hit level 70 or 71 recently, so there's time, or there will be space in time for extra CPU to accommodate a lot of extra thrusters, if that's what I wanted to do, and make the bot a lot more viable. But this sort of heavy, ponderous, nearly impossible to control kind of thing, it's a big strike. It's a big strike against the Thunder Guppy, I have to say. So that match, we just basically spent barely driving around. We fired a couple shots, didn't hit anything. Literally, we fired like 1, 2, 3 shots. Which brings us to this tragic situation here. Now, I'm trying to anticipate where I might find some flyers, is what I'm thinking at this point. When I move up to the ledge like this, I don't want to get so close to it that the guys on the road down there have an opportunity to just start shooting at me or spot me or anything like that. I don't want to be reckless, necessarily. But I want to keep an eye out for flyers, because that's one of the things that SMGs handle really well, especially when you've got a lot of guns and you can afford to lose a couple of them, is going after those bombers and trying to make best use of what you've got. And there we go. See his bomber. I caught him out of the corner of my eye. I spotted him for our team, and then I'm waiting for him to come around. He knows I'm here, but he hasn't lit me. So I'm trying to get some shots on him, and all of a sudden I notice that I'm taking damage from SMG fire. Over there. Oh boy, look, everybody's coming to visit and say hello. The medic is apparently so bored that he's chasing me. I'm like, I'm out of here, and of course I'm upside down. I can't control the bot. Death by medic. Death by medic. Because I got caught by the death ball. That was basically it. There's no way I was getting off that cliff any way but straight down. I did not get a hero bonus from this match. That's about all I can tell you. It didn't work out so well for anyone, I don't think. So this is the same map from the other side. The match immediately following the one that just ended. This is what we got. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, so going up on a ledge and waiting for flyers didn't really work out so well for me. So this time we're going to head on down to the ground level, where we've got a little bit more cover, a little bit of room to maneuver. If we get caught in the path of the enemy death ball, we can hopefully maybe a little bit get out of the way. So just moving on down, I've got myself a little bit elevated until we get down to the ground, and then it's kind of like drop down, plomp, just like that, to minimize our exposure to plasma splash from the ground up. So at this point, it's just a waiting game, trying to keep an eye out for guys coming around corners, flyers, guys up on the ledges right above us there. There's a pretty... Actually, that's the ledge that I was on the last match, was just up there. And we didn't see anything, so now it's kind of time to push a little bit, get a little bit aggressive, find out where the enemy is, because by this point in the match, it's obvious that they're working together. They're pretty much together. And we don't want to be so spread out from our team that we can't help them if things go crazy, which they could well end up doing at a moment's notice. That's the one thing that I've been noticing a lot that's very, very reliable, is if you're maybe 30 to 45 seconds into a match and nobody has spotted the enemy yet, it means you really inept teammates, really inept, or the enemy is all in one bunch somewhere. And when you find one, you're going to find a lot more. So that's something that I've been keeping in mind lately. So when I'm coming up here, I'm taking note of the fact that there's probably more than I bargained for up here. There's this guy. If I get up close to the bridge, as I've learned with my own plasma vehicles, if I get up close to the bridge, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to fire down on me, which he recognizes and comes down to shoot at me. And then this guy's coming around the corner. He's shooting at me. We've got one guy apparently behind me who's also an SMG. We've got plasma firing above. It's just all kinds of craziness going on. And I'm looking at my bot now and I'm saying, okay, I just lost 5 out of my 9 guns. And their death ball is right there. So I'd be better off trying to find a medic, regroup with some people that would support me. Because you notice there was the one SMG tank, SMG cruiser behind me, and that was it. That we had no support in that lane. So even though I could have kept fighting with 4 guns, my chassis, you can see the left side is in pretty rough shape. And it makes sense to move with a medic. And in this case, I noticed a medic who is traveling. The medic was at 97%. The plasma, whatever he was tailing, was at 100%. When we talk about medics prioritizing and you know, moving with groups and things like that, unless that guy was in a platoon with the plasma guy he was following, it's really not the best position to be in. Now, we did end up winning by capture. It's just not a very good way to win. Now we're using a completely different bot. I just built this yesterday. This is a tier 7 SMG hover. It's got 12 guns, and it's a little bit smaller than it would be if it was a tier 10 because you can fit guns on it easier, but it's still much more compact than the Thunder Guppy. And what I really wanted to do after that experience with the Thunder Guppy, with this huge, ponderous sort of thing that's difficult to maneuver, difficult to change your mind if something materializes and you need to respond with a change of plan, it's very, very difficult to do that with the Thunder Guppy. So something a little bit smaller, requires a little bit less assistance from thrusters just to be maneuverable, but also beefy as hell. Like, again, we're so used to playing railguns and plasma, and even the Thunder Guppy, just because it's so ponderous, it can't function well as a frontline fighter. That's what I wanted to make, was a frontline fighter. So I built this guy with 12 tier 7 SMGs. I forget how many blocks are on it. Again, same as the tier 5 Entropic Slug. Nothing over tier 7 on this bot. There are no tier 8 components of any kind, just because. I'm in tier 7. I've got the CPU that allows me to build beefier bots, more guns, more armor, whatever, than someone who's maybe just coming up. I don't need to just leverage every single advantage I possibly can to make these guys' lives difficult. I can just build a bot that's competitive for its tier without going crazy. And in this case, unlike some of my other bots, we're just basically sitting here in the open going toe-to-toe, and I'm just holding down the fire button because there's enough guys around that if I miss one, there's a pretty reasonable chance it's going to fly. Look, the horse. I couldn't stop shooting at it. I just, you're fantastic, but you need to die. It's what that was. More to the point, back to the point here, I'm out in the open. You can even see I'm taking shots on the front of the vehicle as I'm shooting this horse, and it's barely doing anything. I'm taking a lot of punishment and not really losing a lot. I think by the end of this whole exchange, including the horse, I'd lost maybe a total of 2 out of 12 guns. See, and then he could have just sat there. He could have just let me go away. I thought my guy had him covered, but apparently didn't. So we turned around and finished him off. Now you can see, the nice thing about this is a good contrast in the color on the blocks. We got some blocks that are turning black because they're damaged. But we're in good shape. We're only missing 2 guns. We could basically, at this point, go wherever we want and shoot at people. And it's as if we just started the match for almost all practical intents and purposes. Now, the placement of the guns isn't perfect on this bot. It's very easy for guns to fire into the back of each other if we're not careful. It's also very easy for guns on one side of the bot to fire, even though they can't physically aim at the target that I'm, designating. I'm okay with this. For the amount of redundancy and the survivability, the combat, not readiness. I'm sure I'll think of it later when it doesn't matter. The ability to keep going, the ability to keep fighting, not just to survive and go cap, but the ability to keep going after taking a bunch of damage is very, very high with this bot. So in this case, the little guy, this guy was, picking on him, so I decided to get after him. And this is reckless. This is just very, very reckless play, and you can see it cost me. It cost me the front third or so of the bot. We got plasma, This is everything that I really wanted the Thunder Guppy to be. It's got the versatility, it's got the mobility, it's got the firepower, it's got the survivability. So what we're going to end up doing is taking this concept and we're going to rebuild it in a tier 10 format. And then the Thunder Guppy will be reborn, because right now the Thunder Guppy is an utter failure. So this actually wound up going a little bit longer. I'll let you guys watch the rest of it. I don't need to be blabbering over it. I'll just do the usual. We're going to do some builds. We're going to show you how we built this specific bot. I did the recording for all of that, and that way those people who are maybe watching this and aren't tier 10 yet can get an idea of how to build this one. And then we'll be doing some more match footage. We'll be doing some match footage in the Entropic Slug, possibly some match footage in this bot just for filler if it's taking a while to build the tier 10 one. And then we'll be back with the Thunder Guppy Mark II at some point in the future, which will hopefully make a good replacement for the first one. So if you want to be notified when I add those videos, as always, you can subscribe to my channel. That's one option. You can also follow me on the social media and get notifications that way. Links for those in the information section below the video. Please do leave your comments and feedback. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and take care.